Hey, what's going on, everybody? Today I'm going to show you an inside look at the new Spinnin Records Electro House Sample Pack out now on Splice. Here's a track I made using sounds from the pack. So Electro House has evolved as a genre over the years, but one thing has stayed the same. It's still upbeat, high energy club music with big lead sounds. I'm going to take a deeper dive into this project now and show you how I put everything together using the pack. The whole idea for the track started when I was scrolling through the synth loops folder and I came upon this synth loop. So I dragged that into my project and I pitched it down 5 semitones over here just to put it into a different key and make it a little more original. So here's what it sounds like pitched down. And I decided to make this part of the buildup and then do a lower bass lead sound during the drop. So I added a filter to it and some EQ and some stereo widening just to kind of open it up throughout the buildup. Then for the main bass lead in the drop, I just copied that exact same melody over here. So here's what the melody looks like in MIDI form. Then to add a little bit more attack to the bass and make it a little more interesting, I added this layer right here. It's really just adding some initial attack to the bass, and I got that from the bass one-shots folder. Then I just dragged that one shot into the Logic sampler so I could play it on the keyboard. I also took out the sub-frequencies with a high-pass filter so it wouldn't conflict with the sub-frequencies from the main bass sound. And a great way to keep your drops interesting in this genre is all these little one-shot fills I have up here. So this first one is a big brass hit from the one-shots folder. And I didn't even need to change the pitch of it. It was already in the same key as this track. The only thing I added was a little bit of EQ and some sidechain. Then we have this hit down here. That's from the bass one-shots folder. And all I did for that second part was reverse the initial sample. Then we've got this cool fill over here. And that was just a single bass one-shot from the one-shot folder. But what I did was change the pitch of it right here just to make a little melody out of it. Then the last little one-shot fill we have was actually from a melodic loop. The full loop sounds like this. But I just decided to take those first 2 quarter notes of that loop just to add an interesting synth fill in there. Now I'll talk about the drums. So the way I like to do build-ups is to drag a bunch of snares into a sampler so I can decide which snare I want to use for the snare build. So this is a nice trick you can use to make it a lot easier to find the right sample. So I open up a new version of Logic Sampler And what I'm going to do is go into the pack and drag in all of the snare sounds. So now all of those snare sounds are loaded up on my keyboard, and I can just play them on my keyboard. And this really comes in handy when you've already made your build-up snare pattern. All I need to do to test out new snares is move the MIDI note up and down. So once I found the snare sound that I liked the most, I added a transient designer to it, just so I could open up the sustain throughout the build-up. You can really hear that sustain opening up towards the end, just building up the energy. I also added some filter automation on here just to open it up throughout the build, and a little bit of gain automation as well. Another thing I did to increase the suspense in the build-up was take this brass sample that you hear in the initial hit of the drop. And what I did actually was reverse that and add a ton of reverb to it. Then I bounced that file and reversed it again, and this is what I ended up with. Just a great way to introduce the drop. I'll zoom in on the drop drums here so you can take a closer look. The thing that really makes this drum beat groove so well is the little percussion one hits on the off beats. And those can all be found in the percussion one-shots folder. I also added some white noise to add some energy to the bass lead. So that's with the white noise, and this is without it. Just adds a lot more energy in those high frequencies. For the other drums, the clap is just two different claps layered together. For the open hat, I only used one sample. I didn't change anything with it at all. And besides that, I just have a couple drum fills from the fills folder just to keep everything moving and keep everything interesting. And then you'll notice to add even more energy in the second half of the drop, I brought back the original synth loop that the whole song started with. Anyway, I'll let you guys go check out the rest of the pack yourselves. It's out now on Splice. Hope you guys enjoyed this video and have fun